And we are here this week with a really important power lesson. So every week, I try to come in here and do a live, and you're more than welcome to pop in and ask questions. Let me know that you are here and that you are watching. If you have comments and questions, please let me know. I desire to be helpful. I have gone through an incredible journey myself of body dysmorphia and body shame and, a weird relationship with my food where it was like, I don't care, everything's open. And then I was like hiding and just a dysfunctional relationship with food and my body for such a really long time. And it was a long journey kind of coming to a place where I have some peace around that. And it is not like, oh, and that is the destination and that is all that there is. It's a constant journey. And so one of the things that I've been finding, and it was really interesting, I was having a conversation with a lady. She was telling me about all the different groups that she has gone to and that she participated in, and just her own journey. It's really interesting as we begin to think about what we are doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it. And she just was talking about being so frustrated. And actually there's two groups that she's in that haven't even ended yet. And so one she still has until like March, another one goes on for like a year, whatever. And obviously like I have a group and I have a program and a process that I bring people through, and it's very powerful and very wonderful. But the reality is you have to show up. I cannot do it for you, right? I can want it. I can know it in my bones, in every cell, that if you are to show up for my coaching calls, if you are to actually follow the plan that I laid out, you will get the results that you desire, not just in your weight loss, like releasing the weight from your body, because that's really the easy part. Quite honestly, you could go follow any diet and do that. But the releasing the weight from your mind, really rewiring the way that your brain thinks about food and your body, releasing the weight from your shoulders, always taking care of other people and their feelings and your feelings, and how is this supposed to happen, and then releasing the weight from your heart, the struggles and the frustrations and the pain of the past. Like we carry these things. Like there's reasons why we are going to food for comfort. Yeah, there are certain foods that are more addictive than others, but as you know, if you start to study a little bit about addiction, it's not just physical. Right? I mean, there is a physical component to it, but it's not just physical. There is a mental, emotional, spiritual component along with it. And it's often tied to our emotions and the way that we process emotions and our perceptions of ourselves and our thinking. And so there's a lot to unpack and a lot underneath there. So the weight isn't just held on our body. That's like 1/4 of it. It's in our minds, it's on our shoulders, it's on our hearts. And so there is some work to be done. There is some releasing and letting go to happen. And what I was sharing with her, and she was kind of surprised, because obviously this is my job and my work and my passion and my purpose. And I have a program, and of course I want her to come join it. But there's no reason to join another program, right? And so I asked her what had happened, what had come up for her in the previous programs. And she shared something with me that comes up in my program as well. And it's not just with, oh, those ladies, it has come up with me as well too. I have had to make some changes and transformations in the way that I think about things, and realizing that my first thought is often wrong. My first thought is often, I am either, and this is, a little, if you know me, I tend to swear. So I'm sorry if that is offensive to you. This might not be the right group for you. I might not be the right person for you. But this is a phrase that actually was shared with me, that oftentimes people who have this like emotional dysregulation is looking to substances to kind of soothe and fix our emotions. Oftentimes there is a feeling of either being like better than everyone else and we know something that other people don't know, or less than everyone else and we don't really belong somewhere. And so we often feel like we're a piece of shit that the world revolves around. And neither of those are true. Neither of those realities are true. Like the way far left and the way far right, like that is not where we find truth. And that is why there isn't a lot of peace. There's that saying, find the truth and the truth shall set you free. If you do not feel free, there is some lie that you are believing. There is some way in which you are thinking about the situation or viewing the situation or viewing yourself, that is not accurate. That is not capital T truth. It might be true in the circumstance and like, given the information that you have, like, no, this makes sense. Like, I'm not capable of doing this, or I'm not good enough, or they're better than me, or I don't belong here, like whatever that drama is, but it's not a capital T truth, because you wouldn't feel so awful about it if it was true. So this is where our selfishness and our self-centeredness comes into play, when really we think it's quite the opposite. It's like, no, well, I didn't want to bother anyone. Well, that's selfish and self-centered. Like, as a coach and as someone who has struggled with my weight, and someone who has a group like that, I totally get it. Because I had this as myself, but it's really interesting to me, like when I meet with them one-on-one and they talk about why they didn't want to come to the group part, it's one of two things. Typically, something like this. It's either, well, I was doing so well and I noticed that other people are struggling and I didn't want to make them feel bad, so I didn't want to show up. I get it, but that's still selfish and self-centered. Even though you're trying to think of other people, you're putting your own perception of how they feel. And how annoying is that? I mean, we feel like we're doing the right thing, but I don't know if you've ever had somebody tell you how you feel about something. It's annoying, right? Like, don't tell me how I feel about something. Don't tell me how I'm going to respond to you. Like, I'm responsible for my own actions and reactions to life. Like, I don't need you to navigate everything that you're doing and not doing so that I won't feel bad. Like, that's not a way to have relationships with people. Or there's the other thing where people are struggling, and they're struggling so much, they're embarrassed and they don't want to bring everyone else down, and they don't want to be a broken record, like always struggling, always struggling, always struggling, always needing the attention and the help. And so they don't come to the group coachings, or they don't ask for help. And so you see what I'm talking about, where it's like, you're the piece of shit that the world revolves around. And we like oscillate from like, oh my God, I'm not good enough to be here. Oh my God, I'm doing so well. I don't want to like upset other people. I don't want to, be the one who's like doing great and have other people feel bad about where they're at. Right. So it's this like back and forth oscillation, when really the truth is that you belong. You are here for a reason. It is okay for you to take up your place and your space in the world. It is okay to take up as much space as you need to, whether that's like physically or mentally or emotionally. It's okay to ask for what it is that you need. It's okay for other people to say no. It's also okay for them to say yes. And every time that we stand up in that way, we're actually giving other women in our world, our environment, whether it's our daughters, sisters, moms, dads, I guess not dads, that's not what I meant, other women in our life, the permission to do that too. Because of course, that's all that we want for people that we love, is to feel comfortable and confident in their own bodies. Right? To feel really safe and secure, to be exactly who you are, to ask for help when you need it, to receive it, to give it when it's also asked for. And so this idea of like, are we being selfish and self-centered, can be on both extremes. Either I am doing so well and I don't want to upset other people, or I'm not doing well and I don't want to bother them. Like, either one of those is not the capital T truth. So what I did is I suggested that that woman not join my program, because that's not going to do her any good. If she's not willing to show up authentically and be honest, because something upset her, and so she's going to go to some other group, and then something upset her here, and she's going to go to some other group, and something upset her here, she's beginning to see that pattern, and she doesn't need another group. What she needs is to show up authentically. And so that's what I encouraged her to do. I encourage her to utilize the resources of where she is at right now and show up fully. And if somebody in there says, this is not appropriate, maybe this isn't the group for you, then that's the point at which she says, thank you very much, and heads out of there. And she was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, thank you for that advice. I'm like, well, absolutely. So go do that and let me know how it goes. And she was like, that's so cool. So it's always a learning process, ladies. It is always this continuation of learning. And you'll notice if you're on my email list, I just sent out an email and I talk about this a little bit in that email, just the idea of what does it really take for us to have the peace of mind and the freedom that we are looking for to keep the motivation going. And we think that the motivation comes from the outside or from some kind of pain point, when really motivation comes from action. It comes from commitment. It comes from making a decision. That's when we get motivated, because then all of our energy is focused in one direction, and we're not out there trying to search for the newest, best thing, the newest diet, the whatever is going to fix this feeling in this moment, in the moment. Maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try that. Just make a decision to do one thing, follow it all the way through. And anytime there's any other things that pop up in your world, like some friend says, oh, I'm doing intermittent fasting, or someone else is like, well, I'm doing keto, and someone else is like, I'm vegetarian. Lord, help me. I'm sure that all of them work, but you have to give your full attention to something and really give it the attention that it needs and that it deserves to build the momentum and to build the motivation for yourself. And just lovingly say no thank you to all the other things. And as you stay focused, you build energy and momentum and motivation in that direction. All right, that's my 2 thoughts for today. You are so wonderful and beautiful. You deserve all the love and health and vitality in all of the world. And you know what? We're going to leave it on this. Expect miracles, because it feels like a miracle if you've been struggling with something for decades, right? And then there's a sense of freedom and peace from it. It's like a miracle. And that is what you should expect, a miracle. It is on the way to you. I love you so much. Have a great day.